I've got a lot of text on my sample page, and I think it would look good to place a photo in my third section. To do that, go up to the left-hand menu. Under Current Page, click on Edit, then scroll down to my third section. Notice when I created this page, I put all this text into a text section. I wasn't planning ahead. Well, no problem. I'll change that to Text and Asset. That leaves the text in a text field and creates the Asset Wizard interface below that. To add an image, I just click on the placeholder image, click on New File. I'm going to create a title, Jefferson Library. I'm going to put it in a directory that already exists called Demos, and I'm going to find the file on my desktop. Notice this is a JPEG. Images must be either a JPEG, a GIF, or a PNG format. Other formats such as a bitmap will not work. And images also must be smaller than 10 megabytes. This one's 124K, so I'm fine. Credit and description are internal fields where you can make notes for yourself. This will not show up on the website. Permissions allows other users to use the image that you just uploaded. If you leave it public, and 99% of the time you do, that just means that any other editor on your website has the ability to place that image elsewhere on the website. If for any reason you want to restrict the use of that image, you click on Private and limit access, for example, to the administrator level. That means any staffers whose privileges are at the editor level will not have the ability to work with that image. But most of the time, public is just fine. I hit Submit. I get a preview of my image, click Finish. And depending on the layout of your website, you may have some formatting options. You will definitely be able to choose the image size and various options. I'm going to go with half width. Border, thin, thick. I'd like a nice thick border on this picture. You can have the asset aligned left or right. I'm going with left. And the asset itself can be a link to another web page. The same rules apply as we discussed for external and internal text links. If it's an external website, you need the full URL, http://www, etc. If you're just linking to a page on your own website, you would put everything past the slash mark. After yourlibrarysite.com / I would have about/mission to take me to my mission and vision page. And I can put a caption under my photo. For example, Jefferson Library, the Library of Congress. Now by default, your text wraps around the image. If you want to have a columnar look, you would click on this box. That would put the image on one side and the text on the other. If your text is particularly long, that could mean a large white space under your photo. So you might want to play around with this a little bit, see if it works the way you want it to. Go down to the bottom of the page, click on Save. I scroll down to my third section and I see my beautiful photo. Notice it's a link, takes me to Mission and Vision. My text wraps around the image and I have my caption. Now, there are times when you may want to upload a bunch of images first before you edit your page and start placing them. You go over to the admin menu to Useful Links, find Manage Assets, click on that. And I've got the existing directories or folders. Let's say I'm going to add a bunch of staff photos. What I'm going to want to do first is add a directory. It's important that you manage your folders, your images, and keep them in folders. You never want to have more than about 20 images on any one level. For example, in the demos folder, if I ended up having more than 20 or so images here, I would want to start to make a subfolder. And the reason for that is because if you have more than about 20 folders or images on a level, it really slows down the asset wizard, makes it cumbersome, difficult to work with. So this is for your own ease of use. So I'm going back to Manage Assets. I'm going to add an asset. I'm going to add a directory. I'm going to call it staff photos. Now the other caveat when working with images is your naming conventions. Both the file name and the asset title, and by that I mean the title here, whatever you're typing in, plus the actual name of the photo itself, sample.jpg for example. You can't use any special characters such as an ampersand or a slash. You just letters, numbers, spaces, dashes, or underscores. These are the old rules the old folks in the audience will remember about server naming. And if you use special characters such as ampersands or slashes, the asset wizard won't work. Unfortunately, it won't throw up an error message, it just will not work for you, and takes a little bit of sleuthing to figure out. So I've got my staff photos. I'm not going to put them in any other directory. I want them at the top level. I'm going to leave credit and description alone for now. I'll leave public permissions. I'll hit submit. And so when I go back to manage assets, at my top level, I now have a staff photos directory, and I can add up to 20 different images in there. So I've created my directory. Then I would go to add asset. I would choose file. I would add the names of the various staff members and their photos, and so on, so that next time when I was working with the page and I wanted to add an image, notice that to replace a current image, I click on the clear link underneath the thumbnail. That removes the image and brings up the asset wizard so that I can add a new image in its place. I would choose Browse instead of New File, and I would go to the Staff Photos directory, and there I would select from the photos that I had already uploaded. And that's it for working with images.